Hello, interwebs. It is I, the complaint department. My little voice recorder device tells me I have 9 hours and 58 minutes of recording time left, but I'm not sure I have that many episodes left in me at this point. I'm coming up on 40 years old, and issues with rage. Remember that cup of rage I was talking about? Not my co-host rage. I'm talking about the actual feeling in and of itself. Sometimes it's like I can't get angry for more than a few minutes at a time, and that's both a blessing and a curse, considering this type of content is basically fueled by it. And at other times, I'm so furious that I'm reticent to place my thoughts on the internet. And I'm sure we've all had such things cross our minds at one point or another. Case in point, and I might as well get this off my chest. Have you ever been driving or walking around somewhere and you notice expensive cars? Lately, the urge struck me to raise my middle finger whenever I see a brand new Corvette or the 50th Tesla in a row, or get cut off by yet another BMW by some asshole overtaken by main character syndrome. Think they're friggin' James Bond to everyone else's detriment. I've experienced my share of I've experienced my share of rage whilst on the road, but never road rage. I've never flipped someone off in my entire life, hard as that might be to imagine, but lately the feeling has been growing. The feeling of unfairness in the world. I know, the world's not fair, suck it up. Fuck that. These visual representations of wealth are salt in the wound. Today I heard a new phrase. I learned a new ism. Economic disability. And I think I'm going to start using that and see if it catches on. Economic disability. You've heard of physical disabilities. You've heard of mental disabilities. Well, now we're going to talk about a wallet-based disability. What I can't stand is the constant gnawing sensation at the back of my mind that anything might be the final straw that snaps my wallet in two. One missed day of work, one unpaid sick day, one accident, one injury, one dental emergency, one vehicle repair, one speeding ticket, and boom, homeless. And that has me looking at every vehicle on the road that even remotely resembles a police car. I'm driving the speed limit. 10 and 2, that's me. I'm that asshole in front of you. And you know why? You know why. Because the highway revenue collectors for the state are out for green sheeps. And they're looking for any excuse to take money away from your backside. Half of everyone in America is 1 foot in an apartment and another one in the street. 50% of America is just about homeless. Just about. Fight or flight is constant. Every traffic signal at every stop is yellow. Do you hit the gas or brake? Trick question. Because whatever you pick, it's the wrong answer. And this rigged game is designed that way. You're supposed to fail. This system can only support so many winners. Why? Because we just made that rule up. We just made it up. You know, it doesn't even have to be a fancy car. It could just be any new car or any clean car that appears to be in good condition. Up rolls a 2003 Toyota Camry with a recent tunnel wash. I'm there next to it on the freeway, mean mugging. Why? Because fuck you. Why do you get to have your life together and I don't? I'm just another crab in America's bucket. I try not to be, but sometimes the green monster comes out to play. So this is the only healthy way I know of getting that garbage out of my system. Speak of the devil, some fucking debt collector is calling me right now, and he can get stuffed. If they don't get you on the highway, they'll try to get you on the phone or by email or by mail. I'm not economically viable. I'm economically disabled, like most Americans. Hey, welcome to the club. We tell ourselves 1,000 little lies to get ourselves through the week. Just another day at the cubicle. Just another paycheck from the sweat factory. Soon I'll get the Zoomer retirement plan, the Pine Box. What else is there? scream silently into the void like I'm doing now, no one cares. And even if they did, they have no more power to change things than you do. Better we all suffer equally. Hence the engineered feelings of jealousy that creep up whenever we encounter someone with a shinier toy than us. Never mind how much debt they might be in, because you can't see that. You can't look at somebody else and see how much debt they've accrued. You can't, it might show up in their facial expressions or their demeanor, but you can't see the invisible sword of Damocles over their heads. No account is taken. The charade continues. That's the world that we live in. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little... Yeah. I don't know, would it fix anything if we stopped pretending like everything was fine? Like we're all okay? I wonder if it's higher than the 42 point, I think it was 0.9 or 0.1% of Americans that cannot afford to rent their own apartment on their own. 42%. I wonder if it's higher than that. And I wonder, out of those guys that are making $60K plus, how many of those are underwater, living paycheck to paycheck, making nearly six figures? Is America doing all right? How many people out there are struggling and they got zeros in their bank and they're still struggling? When does it fucking end? When do we get to experience the American dream that our grandparents did? Or at least have the opportunities? When do people get angry enough to say something out loud to everybody they know, to anyone that'll listen? This sucks. This isn't America, and it's not acceptable. Why is our money worth dirt? Why are our homes so fucking expensive no one can afford them? Why does it cost nearly $2,000 a month to live in a fucking shoebox? Why does a week's worth of groceries cost $100+ per individual? I don't even want any fancy shit. I just want a car that's reliable and I don't have to worry about it breaking down constantly. I don't need a Maserati. I'll take a Mitsubishi. I'll take whatever's got four wheels and goes vroom. Little shoebox apartment. My shoebox back in Virginia, when I first moved in there, it cost me $600 a month and it included heat and garbage. $600 a month. And in the 7 years that I lived there, rent only increased by $80. That's $10 a year. I'd hate to think what it is now, because that was back in 2017. That might be another project that I'll look into, see how much their rent's been jacked up since I left. And I've heard other stories, people living in apartments back in around the same time period, actually. Apartments that used to cost $500 a month are now pushing on $1,100 a month. Did the value of the apartment go up, or did the value of your dollar go down? I plugged this episode into the machine over on X, Elon Musk Grok 2 beta, and this is what it said. Your sentiments capture a widespread feeling of economic frustration and the psychological toll that it takes, manifesting in moments like road rage or resentment towards symbols of perceived wealth like expensive cars. Here's a reflection on what you've shared, blah, 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 blah. Economic disparity and visibility. The visibility of wealth, especially through luxury items like cars, can exacerbate feelings of inequality. This isn't just about the cars themselves, but what they represent: financial security, success, or perhaps an economic system where wealth seems unfairly distributed. It's not just about people driving around in luxury vehicles or living in McMansions in a gated community somewhere. At least not for me. For me, I look at stuff like that and I see somebody driving around in a vehicle that's worth more than my entire net wealth for my entire life. I see somebody driving around in a vehicle that could buy me 5 new vehicles. It buy me a vehicle, buy every family member that I have a vehicle that would work, that would run, that was new, that you didn't need to spend $500K on, which is what some of these vehicles cost north of. The same thing with these McMansions. These rich people sure do love popping out kids. They tell the rest of us having kids is bad for the environment. Meanwhile, they got Barry White playing while they're cranking out number 9. Nobody needs that much space. And I did work in a lot of these areas, especially here in Texas, part of Texas that I'm in. I've done work in a lot of these rich people's homes. Maybe a butler or a maid or some cleaning people might be staying in a little shack somewhere within the property grounds. And that's pretty much it. And then they've got 60 rooms that aren't being used for anything. Just storing a bunch of shit that they don't need. It's not about the wealth being distributed unfairly. It's about the wealth being wasted on individuals that don't need as much shit as they have. Meanwhile, the rest of us are scraping hand to mouth. It wouldn't be so bad if that weren't the case. If everybody out there was pretty much living a middle-class lifestyle, or at least had the opportunity to do so in a reasonable amount of time, with a reasonable amount of effort. Again, going back to our grandparents and our parents, yes, you had to work hard, but that hard work came with the promise that eventually, you could buy your own little piece of something. I don't see that as a possibility in my lifetime anymore. But if that was the case, if we did still live in that America, then I wouldn't really care about Johnny Warbucks and his McMansion and his 9th Lamborghini Diablo, or whatever they're up to. You've coined economic disability to describe a situation where financial instability acts as a disability, hindering one's ability to live freely without constant fear of financial collapse. You know, I ran one of the other episodes I did, Poverty Pill, and the first episode I did, I originally titled The Broken Contract. I've since changed the name on YouTube. I ran it through Grok just to see the breakdown on it. And one of the things it kept complaining about is that I didn't provide solutions. If I knew the solutions to any of this stuff, I wouldn't be here screaming on the internet about it. I'd be doing that if I had any power to do so. But I don't. The only thing I can tell you is what I've heard others speak about, economic models that have worked throughout history that we could try. It was very quick to shoot down the idea of using precious metals or an asset-backed currency. So the Keynesians and the MMT guys got in there tinkering around with the code on this AI shit, apparently. Very fitting. Probably didn't appreciate me bashing on the tech sector either. Sorry, Grok. Your creators are probably as evil as the rest of them. This is supposed to be the right-wing AI. It called me a conspiracy theorist. I'm officially labeled a conspiracy theorist by the ultra MAGA right-wing AI, Grok. Man, you know you're a crazy person when the other crazy people are calling you crazy. Am I right? Coping mechanism, expressing these feelings, whether through venting, like in your case, or through other means, is a way to cope. However, exploring other constructive outlets might be beneficial. This could include blah, blah, blah. That should have been, if there was any positivity for me to channel, I would have called this the Internet Cope Department. That's just not what we do around here. It does give me some ideas for some spoof episodes, though. Spoof episodes. Might be fun.